Hi everybody. I wanted to, this is our second demo. We went from the changing room and loading our reels and opening our film to now we're ready to process our film. So there are a few things that we need to be thinking about before actually processing our film. You've done a great job of getting to the point of filling up your, of taking your film out and putting it in your canister, right? Your tank, your processing tank. So what we want to do now is we want to complete the process, right? We want to, two more things to do. We got to develop our film. A lot of people these days are scanning, so this is kind of we're very near the end for those people. For other people, however, we will make it into the darkroom and make a print. So this is, because of the different steps, they are relatively repetitive, but it's really important that you follow the entire process. So we've got 8 steps here, along with a pre-wet. One of the things that I'm not going to do for the convenience of this demo is I'm not going to turn on the cold water. Whenever you turn on any of these faucets that are labeled 68 degrees, the chiller kicks on and it's very loud. So I'm not going to kick that on. I'm not going to use 68 degrees, the 68 degree water. Not literally, but we will simulate it. So understand that we need to be working at 68 degrees, okay? I don't know if Lauren got into it, but this was a chemistry thing from way back when we started film and developing film, and basically the chemistry in film, the whole process is based off of where the water, at a place where the water was cold. So we still work at 68 degrees. So you will be developing at 68 degrees, and it's a very important part of the process. So anyway, let's get started. So you've got your canister, you've got your film in here. Now, the question is, of course, what type of film do you have? Well, based off of what type of film you have, that may change your developing time. So you come over here and you check and see what you have. So let's pretend that I have a Delta 400 in here. So if I've got Delta 400, then that means that my time is, I'm gonna develop this film for 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, remember that, 11 minutes, 30 seconds. Also, I'm gonna look at the dilution here based off of what tank I have. So I've got 2 reels of 35 millimeter film. So what I'm gonna do is, that means that I am going to use 200, well, no, 2. I'm going to use 500 mLs of overall fluid, okay? 500 mLs. So what we need to do is, the first thing that I would do is I would fill this up, this whole pitcher up with cold water, okay? And a couple things we need to check though. You want to make sure that this is at 68 degrees. If it is not, if it is over or far under, then you contact Lauren. Don't touch this lever here. Not any of these, right? That's right. But here, you're not gonna mess with that. We're only gonna have Lauren adjust that to make sure that it's set at 68 degrees. Again, it's really important with film. It affects how your film, sometimes the exposure of your film, the contrast of your film can be affected kind of gonna wait that out. But while that's doing that, I am going to actually fill this up because it kicks in even when I don't adjust the water. So now that that's kicked off, but like I said, and you're only going to be in here with yourself, so enough, you're going to fill this up. The good thing is that the water is pretty much at 68 degrees right now, so the chiller doesn't have to kick on quite so frequently. So let's do a little bit of math. It says that my concentrate is going to be 50 mLs. Some of the beakers only have ounces on it. This one, however, has 50 mLs of concentrate. This is our concentrate here. And so we're gonna fill this up to 50 mLs of concentrate. Now, as I fill this up, I am remembering that we haven't started one step. And that step is filling this up in order to do our pre-wet. Now, the thing that I will say though, however, is I do highly encourage you to line your chemicals up. Let's take a look at that. So the water, we've got the water here. So whenever it calls for water, we're gonna use the water that we have on hand in the pitcher. Developer, that's what we're gonna mix right now. Stop is water. So again, stop is water, and then fix, you're gonna have to mix that up too. Well, hold on, no. This is the fix remover. So again, let me repeat. Fix is a working solution. So what we can do is, even before we finish that, before we do the developer, we can actually just fill this up now. And again, 500, reminding myself, 500 mLs. Boom. Yeah, 500 mLs, okay. All right, and then now I've got my 50 mLs of developer. I'm gonna put that in here. And then I'll put my water up to 500 mLs. Now, one of the things, I always try to keep it steady, but remember too, just a technical thing is that if you don't remember from chemistry class, is that you want to fill your beaker on a level surface and then look at the top of the line to make sure it lines up with where it is that you're trying to fill your chemicals. So here, I'm gonna get down, I'm gonna be at eye level, and I wanna be right at 500, and that's where I am. So over time, of course, you know, you feel pretty good about your measuring skills, and of course I did, but it's really good to make sure that you've got it set up correctly, okay? So again, developer. One of the things too, in case you line something up and you don't remember what is what, remember your your developer is usually, right, if you look at these colors, it's darker than your fix, okay? And then you can, sometimes I do fill up your fix remover. So I'm gonna do that just so that I have everything out. Because as we're pouring things back, we wanna make sure as we're pouring things back into the canisters and also pouring things out that we need to, we wanna be really careful about that. So let's recap quickly. Water, that's gonna be our first step. We're gonna do that for 1 minute. We're gonna talk about what agitation is. Agitation is, you can either invert, some people go with this technique. I usually use a kind of gyroscopic motion when I'm processing my film. That way the water doesn't go over the same location on the film repeatedly. And also, you don't want to be rough with the canister. You do need to tap after you agitate, but at the same time, you don't want to slam, which I've seen, which I've come in. So you want to make sure that you tap it, and this is to take the air bubbles off of the film. So a tap, right, to make sure that the bubbles come off, okay? So agitate, so for the water, you pour that in and then you agitate that entire minute. This takes the halation layer off of the film. That is a layer of chemicals that protects the film, but of course you want to take that off as you go through the process. Developer, we've got our developer here. Remember, you have to have your own time. In my case, it's 11 minutes and 30 seconds. I am simulating Ilford Delta 400. Number 3 is my stop. My stop is water. So I'm gonna go back to the picture when I get to my stop. Fix, I've got my fix here. Water, again, I'm going back to the water for my pre-wash, and then I go with my fix remover, all right? And then I go with my actual wash. Now, our washer is over here. Let's make sure that it's in the frame here. Hopefully you can see that. And we'll drop it, and that is why you need that's when we will need our film rod. Okay, and then don't forget your paddle. And this is your paddle for your chemicals. Now, one of the things I didn't do that I should have done, an important thing, is making sure that for my developer, the developer is largely, well, I was gonna make a mistake. So fixer, I do have to mix that, okay? So again, just to make sure, what I need to do is I need to go back down to 50 mLs. And I've got 100 here, so I can just go halfway. Remember, this is my fix remover. And then I will go back up to 500. Now, again, we need to, okay. So I'm mixing. This is really important. One of the mistakes sometimes that students make is that they will pour their stock solution and their, they'll pour the concentrate, right? into the canister first and then pour the water. That is, that's wrong. There's no like way around that. That's wrong, and it will also overexpose your film. It'll darken it. So make sure you don't make that mistake. So then the next thing you want to do is you want to rinse this off, because you don't want to mix your fix remover with the you don't want developer going in your fix remover. So I'm gonna use just the cold water here. Cold water's down here. Okay. Probably rinse that off better. And then I'm gonna mix my fix remover. All right. So we are good to go. This is my beaker that I use to mix my chemicals, but I don't need that anymore either. I like to get stuff out of the way that I'm not using. So there's just a space here, right? Water, developer, water, fix, water, and then fix remover, and then we go to the wash. And then the last one is photo flow, which stops your film from spotting. So you're gonna put you're gonna put one drop into the canister when you get it out of the wash. So we'll put this here, and then we'll come back to that when we need it. All right. So I think we're good. So let's start. So let's put my water in here. Now, when you put your water in, any fluids in, you will have you'll have this top here. Now you can push this top down. You may hear a pop. You don't want to be extra tough with it. You don't want the whole thing to detach, but you do want to make sure that the liquid is going in. So in order to make that happen, you need to press. Okay, make sure everything's going down. Now, one of the things that I'm anticipating already is the fact that I've used this, so I wouldn't have enough to complete the process. So I want to make sure that I fill that back up, and that's at 68 degrees. Now, even though it says it's at 68 degrees, one of the things that we can do, one second, is pull our thermometer out. So it's important to use your thermometer. Your thermometer goes in here. Whenever you're measuring that water, you want to make sure that that's 68 degrees. So make sure that you use your thermometer. It's in the drawer right below us. I mean, right behind us or behind me, and it is labeled extra thermometers. So if there's not one out, then take one from the drawer, and as you're filling up your pitcher, make sure that the water's at 68 degrees. So now we have put our water in here, and we need to go for a minute. So I'm gonna set my timer for a minute on my clock. I'm gonna on my timer. I'm push it over to the side, and here we go. All right, this gyroscopic motion here that I do, it's mine. This is kind of my method, but if you have a method that you feel is working for you, then one of the things that I would do is just stick to it, right? This is one of the kind of artistic licenses that you take on, right? Is to make sure that you are, you're consistent. All right, 15 more seconds. All right, so now just pour this out. So that you can see, I'm gonna stay right here, And I'm going to show you that I'm pressing inside of here and I am pouring out. Now, again, you know, the same way that I was using that gyroscopic motion to make sure that the fluid doesn't rush over the film in the same direction is the same reasoning behind me rotating the canister as I pour my water out, or any fluid for that matter. All right. So usually you may have some color. Again, remember that comes out, and it may be purple or blue. That is your halation layer, and so we're ready to move to developer. So the same thing, you're going to pour that developer in here. All right. All right. After you pour that in there, I'll close that up. And then again, mine is 11 minutes and 30 seconds. This now, really important. As I start, I am agitating the entire minute. After that minute, I am going to tap. Again, remember to tap in order to get the oxygen bubbles off, the air bubbles off of your film. This allows the chemicals to get all over the film evenly. And so you want to make sure that that it's well distributed and through agitating. Okay. Another thing is you'll get fluid on your hands. This is another reason to have a towel. Again, we supply towels, but it helps to have your own. So I'm gonna tap. I tapped, and so at the top of the next minute will be when I agitate again. But I will not agitate for a full minute again. I am going to agitate for 10 seconds. So I usually do about 10 inversions. You can do less. Some people, especially when your processing times get long, then some people do less agitation in order to disturb the film or to handle the film less. So, but sometimes that's really long. Sometimes that's a matter of, 20-minute developer. All right. So, for 11, it's not too bad. And then I'm just going to agitate at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, and I'm gonna just put it down. All right. That was 10. I was kind of also looking at my time, so I didn't want to do it for long. So so then we agitate again. Now this is going to be your longest part in the process is development. Everything else is making sure that we stop development, that we fix the image by, again, 3 and 4. And then we want to make sure that we got all of the chemicals off. You even want to take the fix remover off. You even want to remove the fix as well. So, so that is pretty good, pretty important. So here we go, top of the minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So one of the things with that, as I agitate, is you may run into an issue where that's going a little bit long. So some people, again, say 10 seconds. The important thing is, if you appreciate the results that you get, then I would just continue to repeat them. So again, sometimes honestly, I do 4 agitations, 4 inversions, because I don't think that it takes that much, especially when my times start getting longer. So I'm going to do that from here on out just to kind of give you a different kind of rhythm, or a different pace, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, tap. Okay. And I'm good with that. Now, to be fair, right, that was about 5 seconds on that agitation. So again, figure out what works with you. I would actually suggest 10 seconds just to make sure that that the chemicals go over the film evenly. So yeah, but another thing is I will put a link to an app. I think it's called the Big Film Developer Chart or something. I use that. I usually use it, and it helps. It brings you to the next step. It helps you throughout this process. The only problem with that is it doesn't have all these steps, and I'm not sure whether or not you can edit it. So I will let you know what it is. So be looking out for that shortly after you check the demo. Oh my goodness, this takes so long. As a demo, anyway, it is a process, and somebody asked how long should you expect this to take? Well, you should expect it to take about 45 minutes to an hour, the entire process. So make sure that you are, prepared for that you are paying attention to that. So, all right. All right. There's a rag over here. So again, the towels come in handy. You still, definitely need to wash your hands. And there are also some gloves that are in here. I really appreciate that because I don't always like getting my hands wet. So I'm gonna actually I'm gonna use the gloves. Oh, I'm missing my time. There we go. So the important thing is to understand that your time may vary. It most assuredly will, especially with me using Ilford Delta. I think that's almost one of the longer ones there. I see 17 minutes for Delta 3200, and then there are 10 minutes for others. So just make sure you look at that chart before you just start, because you need the time to correspond to your film. If you have any doubts about how much you should agitate, again, I would say I stick by 10 seconds. So the thing is, you also don't want to get to a point where you're like shaking it, so kind of slow agitation, soft, however you do it. Some people do like so again, it's not a vigorous shake, it's more kind of, you know, agitation even sounds more rough than it needs to be, right? Here, here, here. I always try to be done by, like, you know, the 50 mark on here, just so that I know that I was right at 10 seconds. I don't want to do any more than that, just because of the relationship to the rest of the time, right? I don't want to spend more time agitating. I want to spend as little time agitating as possible. So one thing, as we get closer to the stop, we want to make sure that that you agitate. It says as much, but make sure that you read thoroughly that you agitate during the stop for the entire time. You want to stop, right? You want to halt the developing as soon as possible when we get to that point. So here, we're very close to that point. So I usually try to be really swift on this exchange from development and to stop. So as I near the end, I want to make sure that, I went long on that one. I'm going to dump my chemicals into the developing tank in the corner over here. So remember that. It says discard in waste container, okay? So I'm done. I'm going to discard this. And I'm also keeping the same motion that I did. I'm pressing the top of the container, and I am also rotating the film canister. All right. So now I am putting my stop in. I want to stop this process. Okay. One, two. I'm doing this the entire minute. Make sure that you filled this up. You know, and the best way to make sure, again, is making sure it sounds different and it should be heavier. And then also you should push down as much as you can inside to make sure that you've got everything in there. That you've got all the liquids that you need in there. All your chemicals have gone in there. And for that reason, it makes sense to actually measure it out if you can. Because you'll be in here by yourself, there may be enough canisters, enough beakers for you to actually put water in each one. I like that. It's a lot more efficient, and it sets you up to be pretty efficient with that. Now this was just water, so this will go down the drain. Okay, and now we'll go with fix. So this is my fix. All right. So my fix, I'm gonna do 3 minutes. There we go. All right. I'm agitating for the first minute, the entire first minute. And then from there, it says 10 to 15 seconds. I usually, again, just to reiterate my point, I usually try to go with, 10 seconds, as little as possible. So I do the minimum. All right. You're going to tap. And some of this is pretty drawn out, and but when we're demoing, the reason we try to do this in real time is so that you understand the rhythm of it. Now, to be fair, after the development and how long that took, we should have a pretty good idea. All right, so after I may be repeating myself a little bit, but because my camera darkened, so I don't exactly know where I left off. But the point is that after you finish the fix remover, well, let's back up a little bit. So you have the wash, right, for 1 minute. Then you do the fix remover the same exact way we've been doing everything else, right? You agitate for the first minute, and then you, for the entire first minute, and then 10 to 15 seconds afterwards. Now, after you've done the fix remover, we also need to, we discard that. So I discarded it in the barrel over here. And now I'm ready to take out my actual, I'm using my rod. And what I like to do is just, when I first open my lid, right? So my lid's here, open that. Then I take my rod and I put it in the reels, and I'm ready to put it in the washer. Now, this washer is, it's important how to run the water at the right speed. I don't want it to drown me out again, but the water should come to the top and slowly, it shouldn't empty, right? It should just be a continuous flow. And you'll see it accumulate on this, at the top of this tube here, and it shouldn't go over. Now, that's only about speed, because this, with your lift rod, is gonna be inside of here. This is gonna fill with water. I should run it. So it's gonna fill up. And if it's going too fast, then all of this water is gonna fall out of there. And you don't want that to happen. So you want it to be, you want it to just get over this top. So if it all falls out of there, then we're doing something wrong. I'm accelerating it just so that so as it fills up, we only want it to come to the top of this, and it should be a nice loop. So I think that that's it. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's not a complete rush of water that goes over and then this depletes and falls all the way down. We don't want that. So if it's filling up and then dropping precipitously, we're doing something wrong. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. So after you get done, okay, so after your 5 minutes of wash is done, then what we're going to do is we are going to return everything back to your canister, and then we're going to use PhotoFlow. So we're going to fill this up with water, right? So let's fill this up with water, and then we're going to do 1 drop of PhotoFlow. Right? One of the things I like to do that I actually just did not do is while that is drying, while that is washing, then I like to fill up my canister with water and then put the PhotoFlow in. Then I put my film in, and then I just swirl it a little bit until for a minute. Okay? Lightly agitate. So they'll swirl for a minute, right? You can use that, or use the timer if you've been using your timer on your phone. And then we're done. Now, the last step I will demonstrate in class, but from there you're going to take your film off of the strip. Well, you're going to take your film strip off of the reel, and you're going to clamp each side. You're going to hang it up in our dryer that is behind the camera, and it is for, you're going to dry it for 15 minutes. I encourage you, as I do everyone, to keep your own time, and do not open the fan, or don't open it when other people, well, if you do open it, stop it first and then wait 5 seconds and then open it. So again, hopefully that this whole thing has been helpful, and our next demonstrations will be actually printing. Okay, so thanks, and I will see you soon.